It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Prime.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. Have some fun.
Hello, everybody. It's Monday. It's not a happy Monday. Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants. I am John Schmeelk, joined as always by Paul Dottino as we go over the Giants' 38-20 defeat at the hands of the Philadelphia Eagles in Philadelphia, right here in the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Paul Dottino.
Hey, John.
Rough trip.
Yeah.
Which has been sadly a consistent rough trip since 2013. Last time the Giants won in Philadelphia. The Giants failed to sweep the Eagles for the first time since 2007. And look, I think this is the first time I walked out of a game, and we could talk about the ways this game could have been closer. If a couple calls or a couple plays go the Giants' way in the first half of this game, that's fine. But when you're almost doubled up in terms of yardage gained in a game, and you give up 276, was it, rushing yards, I believe, or 274? 276 rushing yards.
Yeah, 276 on 33 carries.
For 8.4 yards per carry. There's really not much else to say. That is, to me, Paul, what this was. The Eagles put on their big boy pants. They ran out 2 or 3 tight ends or an extra offensive lineman and 2 tight ends. They played big boy football, and the Giants could not stop them.
Bully ball, which was clearly on Philadelphia's mind for the past 2 weeks after the Giants whacked them at MetLife Stadium. They were determined. They were angry. We talked about this on the WFAN radio pregame show, how they were going to defend their nest and push the Giants 50 feet to the ground and their doom. And that's exactly what the Eagles did. This was a payback game mentally and emotionally and physically for Philadelphia, and they got their payback.
And I said this to Mark Malusis on our Saturday show, referring back to the game 2 weeks ago, or at that point it was 10 days ago, right?
Right.
And the point that I made, it was the first time I had seen the Giants play the Eagles in a game, and the Giants were undoubtedly the better team in the trenches on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive lines. We have not been able to say that about a Giants and Eagles game probably since 2008, 2009, that type of range of time. It was the opposite. The script got absolutely flipped over the weekend, yesterday, where the Giants' pass rush had their moments, but the Eagles' defensive line was certainly more dominant in the run game.
Yes.
They were better rushing the passer as well.
Yes.
And the offensive line for the Eagles, they ran the ball. 8.4 yards per carry. The Giants' offensive line was okay. They weren't bad, but the Eagles' offensive line was dominant. And that, to me, ultimately, we can talk about some of the other stuff, was the difference in this game.
Very simply put, the Giants taught them a lesson in football 101 2 weeks ago, and Philly returned the favor. John, it's really very simple. I mean, and you know that a quality team, when they get you on the back end of a rematch situation in their home turf or on their home turf, chances are the line or the scale is going to lean in their direction because there is a lot more motivation for them. I'm not going to say that the Giants were not motivated. Absolutely, they wanted the sweep. They came out strong. After the Barkley touchdown, they answered with a touchdown. Philly gets another score. Giants come back, and even after Cam Scatterboo dislocates his ankle, the Giants still get a field goal to make it 14-10.
Yep.
But then, the one drive, and this has been a problem with the Giants for most of the past decade. Late in the first half, they tend to give up points, John. That's just something the Giants do. And the Eagles go on a touchdown drive in the latter stages of that second quarter, and now it's like, Philly's starting to do something.
Eagles got the ball with 2 minutes and 46 seconds to go in the half. They did not even have a third down on that drive.
They did not.
They marched the ball down the field. I'll give you the plays. Barkley for 10. Barkley for 6. Barkley for 5. DeVonta Smith for 11. DeVonta Smith for 12. Hurts for 3. And then a touchdown that got it for 6.
Right. Now, at that point, I'm thinking, all right, this afternoon is looking like trouble.
You
But
felt like the game could get out of hand.
I started to get that bad feeling in my stomach.
I think everyone did. I
But
agree
it
with that.
wasn't until, I told you this on the postgame on FAN last night, it wasn't until the Giants opened the third quarter and start with a sack and a 3-and-out and give the ball up. And then Philly scores again. They bridged halftime with a touchdown, a field goal, and 2 touchdowns. They scored on 4 consecutive possessions.
Well, Paul, look, it's worse than that.
I mean,
This Giants defense has to play better. And look, I
Sure it
understand
does.
they were missing guys in the secondary in this game, and they had no one that could cover Devontae Smith. Even when Cordell Flott was on him, he couldn't cover Devontae Smith either. No one could cover Devontae Smith. And you expect that going into a game when you're missing Javon Holland and you're missing Paulson Adebo, even with A.J. Brown out. I could understand that given the personnel issues. But again, the Eagles played double tight ends or even 2 tight ends and an extra offensive lineman. Fred Johnson was their extra offensive lineman in their jumbo packages. The Giants went into their base defense where they had their 3 defensive linemen on the field. It was Nacho and Roy Robertson Harris and Dexter Lawrence, and DJ Davison was in that mix too. They had their 2 inside linebackers and their 2 edge players. They were playing 5-man fronts against those big Eagle offensive sets. And you look back at those plays, Paul, a lot of the stuff was to the perimeter, which we talked about in the pregame show yesterday as well, where the edge players either did not get out there and set the edge, and everyone had times in that game where they were responsible for that, and the defensive backs didn't do a great job getting off blocks and tackling on the edge either. The linebackers didn't do a great job getting outside. The bottom line is that the Giants players were getting blocked. And the Eagles were the more physical team. They were moving the Giants off the line of scrimmage too. And the Giants players just could not get to their spots because the Eagles were getting to the second level and blocking them. That Saquon Barkley long run at the start of the game, he was barely touched. He was barely touched.
how about on his touchdown catch where he wasn't defended at all?
I looked at that play around 5 times,
I
Paul.
still don't know what happened.
I don't know who blew the coverage. Was Muasau not supposed to block? If it's Okereke, I don't see how he can get over there in time.
No.
There's no way a safety gets
No.
over there in time. Someone, that was a man-to-man play, and
And it looks like the Giants had 10 men on the field because there's nobody there.
it doesn't even, looking at it pre-snap, being the non-coaches that we are, I had no way to know whose responsibility that was. Zero chance. I just didn't know. So that was a missed assignment. And again, they just, Paul, if you go back to the last game now, and I'm going to give some stats that Giant fans probably aren't going to like, but this is what happened, and it is what it is. Going back to that game against the Denver Broncos, where the Broncos in that game had 5 straight scores to end that game, right? The Eagles today had 1 punt, or yesterday, had 1 punt in 8 drives. So the last 13 drives for the New York Giants, there has been 1 punt, there has been 11 scores. That's a problem. And the other one was a missed field goal. So you can't give up 11 scores in your last 13 drives. I don't care who's hurt. I don't care who's not on the field. And by the way, 8 of those were touchdowns. So I take that back. None of those were touchdowns. That's a problem.
No one's going to dispute that, especially the players in the locker room who I talked to after the game. Bobby Okereke, Dexter Lawrence, they face the music. They know it's got to be better. They know they were getting beat by one-on-one blocks. Guys weren't shedding. Guys were not filling holes. Guys were not following the assignments that they had to follow. It's inexplicable how porous this defense has become despite the couple of injuries that they had. I agree with you. That is not an excuse.
And by the way, I did not count. I'm not counting the run out the clock drive by the Eagles at the end of the game.
Right.
I threw that out. I'm not counting
No,
that.
you can't count that.
You can't count that one. So it's just, it has to be better. And look, when you get gash like this, the blame goes everywhere.
Oh, it does.
Everyone takes a hit on this one, folks.
I think it was either Dexter or Bobby said to flat out, all 3 levels, line, linebackers, secondary, all 3 levels.
And look, and Brian Dable and Shane Bowen would say too, that the coaches have to put the players in better spots and situations as well. Just based on whenever it's this lopsided, everyone takes a hit in some way.
Nobody escapes. Nobody escapes, John.
Correct.
And I think the one thing about this that troubles me a little bit more than other aspects of this is that I see some players out there who I know have more talent and ability than they have shown in some of these quarters of football that we've seen. I mean, I'll give you a great example. We watched Tyler Nubin last year be virtually an all-NFL rookie at safety. He did not make the all-NFL rookie team, but I think he should have been, if they name a second team and they don't, they name all-NFL rookie team and they don't name a second team, I think he would have been second team all-NFL rookie.
I think he would have had a chance at it.
He was that good. He was that good. This season, I'm sorry to say, he either misreads assignments, he takes bad angles, is a step too slow to get to where he's supposed to be.
He misses tackles too.
And yeah, I'm incredibly disappointed.
I'm not going to kill him on the long Saquon run. You're one-on-one in the open field with Saquon Barkley. Not many people are going to make that play. I can't kill him on that. I don't like the fact you let him get to the sideline, though.
Well,
you got to force him back inside.
That was the problem for me, is that he was caught inside too much, and by the time he reacted to get outside, it was too late.
Correct. No, I agree with that.
And we know at Minnesota what kind of player he was and the kind of coverage skills and ball skills that he had. He's been with the Giants, and even last year when he was a good player, he wasn't getting interceptions. He wasn't ball hawking the ball, which is what he was known for. He was a legend at Minnesota with the Gophers at getting his hands on the football. For some reason, we didn't see that last year, but we saw everything else. And I don't want to pick on Tyler Nubin. The only reason I'm bringing him up is because this is a guy, one of the examples, who I thought really, really had a chance to accelerate his game and go up to the next level. And instead, it seems to have gone backwards. And I'm again, folks, I want to make sure you understand this. I'm not picking on him. I'm just using him as an example because I think he set a high standard for himself. And I think based on what you just said a few moments ago, you agree.
Yeah.
He set a high standard.
I have very high hopes for him this year. Absolutely.
And the production's not matching the man's talent.
And I think we're starting to feel the absence of Micah McFadden the last couple of weeks.
I think so too.
Where Muasau had a couple of missed tackles in this game on that first long Saquon run. Look, I'm not a coach, but talking to Tiki yesterday, he thought that was Muasau that should have gotten outside and filled that hole and forced Saquon back in before he got to the second level where Tyler Nubin was waiting for him. Dexter Lawrence still isn't making as many impact plays in these games as we've seen him make in years past. And it's just not consistent up and down, all three levels of the defense. So it has to get better. For the offense, another chapter in what's becoming a very long book in that Giants fans can't have nice things. Cam Scatterbo tries to catch a ball over the middle. That's a little high. Zach Bond is all over him, plays good defense, jumps, kind of lands on the back of his legs a little bit, and he dislocates his ankle, had surgery yesterday. We have not gotten any prognosis, exactly what the surgery was for. Any of that, I think it's safe to say the chances we see him again this year are probably pretty slim. And Paul, he, as important as Jackson Dart is to the future of this franchise, in my opinion, Scatterbo, I could argue, is actually maybe a little bit more important to the offense this year in terms of the personality and the character they've taken on. In terms of a power running team, remember? In the Giants' 2 wins with Jackson Dart, they ran the ball 40 times in those 2 games. So I think once was 39, the other one was 43.
It's not a coincidence.
No, it is not a coincidence. And his ability to lean into that power running scheme that I think this offensive line is best at, the duo, get behind those blockers, let them push forward and gain those. He always falls forward. He makes guys miss. He can catch the football. And he just brings an energy as well on the intangible side. It's a bad loss. And look, I love Tyrone Tracy. You guys know how highly I thought of him coming into this year, and I think he's going to do fine. I think he's going to do a nice job. But he's a different type of running back than Cam Scatterbo, too.
He is.
So I think you're going to have to adjust how you're running the ball a little bit to use him to the greatest extent you want to use him and get the most out of him. So just a rough injury. And the Giants are now going to have to replace their second big-time playmaker on offense after losing Malik Neighbors earlier in the year.
John, some of the guys yesterday in the locker room were asked, how resilient can you be? I mean, is there a time when you run out of it?
I mean, you have to be. You have to.
Because we're not machines. We're not robots. Every one of us is a human being. And you bleed. And this team is bleeding right now. They're taking a bunch of hits. And it's unrealistic to expect that they can just continue as much as they said it. And I told you this on the postgame yesterday, too. Guys all said, next man up, you got to play. Injuries are part of the game. Those are the stock answers that they're programmed to say because they're pro football players. That's what the coaches and the players will always say. But they're also human beings. And to take these gut punches as they've taken them is going to sap some of the life out of you. It just has to. And I'm not making excuses for anybody, folks, but it's reality. These were two very, very important players to the dynamic and the welfare, emotionally, mentally, physically, game plan-wise, to this team.
I agree. A couple other things on the offense before we get to your calls, and I'll get to as many of them as we can today. Jackson Dart, Paul, I thought, again, he made some of those quote-unquote loose plays that Brian Dable talks about. Got out of the pocket, made that throw to Wanda Robinson rolling to his left, getting his hips flipped and making that throw. Great throw. Did not get a lot of help in the first half. Theo Johnson dropped that wheel route. Now, in fairness, even if he catches that, Reed Blankenship might blow him up to the point where he can't hold on to it anyway, but he should have made the initial catch. He did not.
I gave him a drop.
It has to be a drop, 100%. And then Darius Slayton couldn't come up with what was a tough one-handed catch down the right sideline. Now, people will complain about that. Oh, get two hands on the ball. I agree. Well, the reason he was even able to try the one-handed catch because he was pushing off Quinion Mitchell in the face with his offhand. A penalty that was not called, by the way, which should have been, to be quite honest with you. Which was made up for the fact how in the second half, they tried to find Darius Slayton deep down the right sideline. When you watch it from the side, you understand why they threw the flag. Because the two guys hit, and then all of a sudden, Slayton kind of explodes off of Williams 2 yards while the ball's in the air. So it looks like a push-off. But when you see the TV copy replay, you see it's just kind of a lot of hand fighting. Mitchell's grabbing him too. Maybe you can throw two flags on that and offset them if you want. But I don't think a flag should necessarily be thrown there. But the other thing with Dart, Paul, he cannot hold the football this long. Do you know what his average time to throw was in that game?
I did not time it.
No, take a guess.
3.3?
3.64.
Even more.
I ran some numbers.
I did charge. By the way, first of all, on the first Slayton play, the 50-50 ball, I did not give him a drop.
No, I don't think that's a drop. I agree with you.
On the offensive pass interference call, when I was watching it live, believe it or not, I did see the tug of the jersey.
Yeah, no, he tugged
And
him.
that's what bothered me more than anything else.
Agreed.
I'm like, how in the world did he get away with that when the whole stadium saw it? And as far as Dart, I charged him with 2 of the Giants' 5 sacks.
I think you might be being generous there, to be honest with
Perhaps.
you. It might have been more than that.
But I charged him with 2.
All 5 of his sacks happened with more than 3 seconds on the drop back. That's a long time for offensive linemen to have to block.
I understand that.
A couple other notes I thought were interesting. I did break down Dart a little bit in terms of his passes. Paul, he only attempted 8 passes holding the ball for fewer than 2.5 seconds. He only threw 11 passes holding the ball fewer than 3 seconds. On those plays, he was 8 of 11 for 73 yards. Pretty efficient, right?
Yep.
On passes where he held the ball, or plays, pardon me, where he held the ball for more than 3 seconds, 6 of 13, 120 yards, 20 yards of reception, 5 sacks.
Yeah.
So that's the good and the bad of the Jackson Dart roaming in the pocket, making extra time, bouncing around, holding the ball, waiting for something to develop. You get those chunk plays. Again, 6 completions, 120 yards. Terrific. But 5 sacks. So there's your good and your bad right there. And I think at times, Paul, you saw when that first look wasn't there, his eyes came down on a few plays, and he was kind of looking, and Tiki was talking to Tiki about it yesterday. His kind of feet don't get settled. He kind of bounces around a little bit back there. So those are some of the things I picked up. One other note, I'm breaking down some of the passing stuff. Dart did not complete one pass when under pressure in the game. 0 of 5 with 5 sacks. And the Eagles blitzed only twice. Yeah. They only brought 5 players or more twice in this game after doing it more than 40% of the time in the game 2 weeks ago. So that was a big-time adjustment from Vic Fangio.
Well, there's no doubt that the Eagles went to school on that tape.
No question.
And again, that's what happens when you get embarrassed by a division rival.
Well, and that's why I said on the pregame, Paul, the most interesting thing to me about this game was how Dart would do playing the same coordinator in the same team for the first time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way Philly was going to take that line down.
Yeah,
there's no way. Now, I think the one item that I kind of wanted to mention here, John.
And by the way, one more against man-to-man, he was
go ahead.
2 of 6 for 15 yards and 4 sacks. So he
got
struggled against man-to-man.
Yeah, I make this chart too small sometimes. I did have the Ajomo sack on a 5-man front. That was one 5-man front that they ran on one of the sacks. And let's see. Davis, I gotta make this a little bit bigger. I can't read this. It looks like a stock report, John.
Yeah, you got the percentage thing up there, right?
Where is it? Where is it?
Over here.
Oh, there it is.
You have it on 50% size. That's why.
That's why. I'm thinking to myself, are my eyes going bad?
There you go.
Okay. So what do I have here? I got a 5-man front for Davis's sack, and I charged Dart for that one. I think that's the one that we're talking about here. Let me see. Anyway, well, before we go there, here's what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
What I really meant to. No, it was Davis. That's an old one. Here we go. Bourne was a 4-man front. Carter was a 4-man front. Ajomo was a 5-man front. Hunt was a 5-man front. Davis was a 5-man front. So they had 3 5-man fronts on the 5 sacks that they got. Okay, the other 2 were 4-man fronts. But here's the thing. As far as I'm concerned, the one big problem with the game flow as it began to get out of hand, and this is why that late second quarter touchdown was so important, John, is that we've talked about the Giants don't just want balance. They really want to be able to lean on their run. Well, once they get down by 2 scores going into halftime, now all of a sudden they got out of that balance. They're out of that.
Yeah, they're playing from behind.
Flow, yeah, but it's not just 1 score, John. It's 2.
It was the first time all year that Jackson Dart played from behind for the majority of that game.
Correct. And the game flow is very, very important to how the Giants are going to scheme it offensively, to the play calls that they're going to throw in there. And because Jackson Dart is still a young rookie, still developing, and they're trying to tailor stuff that's going to work for him, you're putting so many limitations on the kinds of things that you want to do that game flow can really send your train off the tracks. And I think it's easy to forget that.
No, I'm with you. I just went through all the sacks really quickly, Paul. I have, 2 of them were 5-man rushes, and the other 3 were 4. That's what I had on that.
Let me go back.
The last one was a 5-man rush, and the second was a 5-man rush. The other 3 were 4-man rushes. So it doesn't matter. I don't think you have to bother looking it up again. But it was just a deal where
Ajomo, wait a minute, Ajomo? No, I want to make sure we got this right. I don't want to be giving people wrong stuff.
Yeah, I have it in terms of order of the game. I don't have it in terms of
okay.
In terms of who got the sack. So the first one on the Bourne play where he got him on the scramble, right?
That's a 4.
That was a 4-man rush. The second one, I'm trying to see who got this here. That was with 3:47 to go in the second quarter. That was the Cooper DeJean blitz. Then he steps up in the pocket and number 90 sacks him. That was a 5-man rush.
Right, that's 5. That's Davis.
That was the Davis sack.
Yep.
That was 5-man. The third sack of the game, as I bring it up here, that was a 4-man rush. It was double stunts. Dart holds it, still holding it, and then eventually 98 gets him on the left side.
Right?
Yep, that's Carter.
That's a 4.
That is a 4-man rush. Yep.
Yep.
And then the fourth one, It is they fake a blitz, they pull back. It's a 4-man
Right,
rush.
no, but it's a 5-man front.
It is a 5-man front.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but it is only a 4-man rush, though.
Yes.
And then 58, and then number 50 comes in, and 58
Correct.
comes and gets him off the
Correct.
side.
The reason I talk about the
Yes.
fronts for pre-snap is because the pre-snap read affects
Sure.
what they're going to do with their blocking.
Absolutely.
So when I count fronts, I'm not talking about necessarily how many guys wind up rushing. I'm counting how many guys he sees on the pre-snap read.
Got it.
There were 3 of those 5 pre-snap
Yes,
reads.
that is correct. That is correct.
I'm
We're on the same page.
Look, I did this at 2:15 in the morning,
That's
folks.
correct. It's all good. Don't worry about it. No, you're 100% right.
Okay.
There were 3 5-man fronts, 3 4-man rushes, 2 5-man rushes.
Yes.
That's what the 5 sacks were. And again, a lot of it was holding the ball and not getting it out. The Giants' offensive line was not as good as it has been the last few weeks, but I didn't think it was a disaster by any means. I thought they were fine. They were okay.
I would like to have seen them run block better.
I mean, I just meant purely in terms of pass protection.
Considering what they were up against, behind, having to
Yeah.
throw against a tough Eagles front as they were stunting and doing what they were doing. Yeah, I agree. It wasn't horrible pass protection, but the run blocking was just not very good.
I agree, and it was probably Andrew Thomas's worst game since he came back too. He gave him a couple pressures off his side in that game.
You know, I actually charged him with one on when he did not sustain his block. He was at left tackle on that one sack. He didn't sustain his block, and when Dart had to step up into the pocket, I forget who the player was. He left Thomas because Thomas didn't sustain it, and all he had to do was take 3 steps down the line of scrimmage, and Dart was sacked.
Yeah, and then Thomas allowed another pressure, which forced Dart to step up and get sacked. So, again, Andrew's been awesome, and he didn't have a bad game, but I thought this was the worst game he's had since he's come
Which
back.
says a lot.
Yes.
because
Correct.
he's really good.
Correct. All right, guys, 201-939-4513, 201-939-4513. Guys, make sure you check out Giants on a podcast on Giants.com, Giants app, podcast platforms. We have the audio-only rapid reaction from yesterday. Madeline Burke and Amani Toomer did that one. Go check that out. It's on the podcast feed. Just subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. By the way, if you're an Apple Podcast, please leave that 5-star positive review for us. We would really appreciate it. All right, let's go to the phones here once more, 201-939-4513, and lead things off with Kevin in Philadelphia. Kevin, what's up?
Hey, guys. As always, you do a great objective type job in terms of reviewing what's taken place and where these deficiencies lie. I really am been trying to sort through, and this has gone on not just yesterday's game, where you draw the line between
Bless you.
the defensive coordinator's role in terms of culpability versus the players from an execution standpoint. I'll just give you an example. So, and you alluded to this. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator, he obviously made some wholesale adjustments between the first time we played and the game yesterday. Significant adjustments that had a direct impact on Dart's performance and the overall ability of the offense, I think, to gain tempo, rhythm, etc. I look at the other side and I ask myself, well, if Shane Bowen is preparing for Philadelphia the second time around, you would be really wondering why, again, we wouldn't be in a more prepared state to deal with the Philadelphia running attack. I mean, A.J. Brown was out of the lineup, etc., and yet, as you quoted the statistics, 270, I mean, just abysmal. And it's a combination of, not setting edge, not being in the right place, but it's also just slipshod tackling, etc. Now, that kind of thing, I say slipshod tackling is non-execution. You don't blame Shane Bowen for that kind of thing. But trying to figure out, quite frankly, well, how do you make this better? Because all you end up doing at the end of these games with the players themselves is hearing a lot of philosophizing and, the classic, well, we got to get better and this and that, the obvious type things. So I'd like sort of your thoughts on that and offline. But then the second and final thing is I sort of looked at some of these insidious plays that occur where, and not to pick on Theo Johnson or get back to the Slayton drops and stuff like that, but I kind of compare what happened to the Theo Johnson play down on the sideline and the pivotal nature of losing the ball at that point versus the play that was made by, I want to say it was Jahan Dotson on Philadelphia against Corey Black for a touchdown down in the end zone, where the guy maintains, somehow, some way, he ends up catching the ball. And I think, you get 3-4 big plays like that where it goes favorably for the opposition, and our players just don't seem to be able to make the catch in that time, and it can actually be a major turning point in games. So anyway, I'll let it go at that, and I thank you.
Appreciate it. Look, the way I think about sports in the game, and you can just goes across sports. I talk about the Knicks the same way I do here, and I talk about the Yankees the same way I talk about them. I'm always going to look more at the players than I am the coaches. The players are the ones on the field. They're the ones that are competing. I'm always going to look there first. And when you talk about not making tackles, that's not a coaching thing. That's a player execution thing. Guys getting blocked on the second level, I'm going to be honest, Kevin. I'm going to be a little humble here. I'm not enough of an expert on defensive schematics to know whether or not someone's lined up in exactly the right place based on offensive formation. I don't know that. Paul, I don't know if you want to comment on that either. I don't feel like I know enough, to be honest, to make those sorts of determinations. And do you want to say I'm copping out? That's fine, you can. But I don't like trying to make assertions about something that I don't see and I don't know, and I'm just throwing something at the wall. But I'll just say, Kevin, what I said at the top here, and Paul, I'm sure you'll agree. When you have something, especially the run defense, that was as bad as it was this past week, that's never just a player thing. It's never just a coach thing. It's an on-everybody thing. And that's what that is. So I think you have to take it on a play-by-play basis to give an overarching thing. Well, this game was more players. This game was more coaching. I think it depends on the play. And it depends what you're looking at. Like, if a guy gets blocked, is it the player's fault for getting blocked? Is it because they're not set up right pre-snap, so the angles aren't there, so they get blocked? It's good questions. I don't have the answer to it. But feel free, if you want to go out there and blame whoever you want after this type of game on defense, I totally understand why you would do that.
All right, so you asked a two-part question. I'll answer one of the other one first. In terms of making plays above the X's and the O's, as Dan Reeves taught me many, many years ago, I have been saying now for a number of years, the Giants don't make enough of those plays.
And that's why losing Malik Neighbors was so tough, because he was like the one guy that did those things.
And, you mentioned Johnson before, saying if he caught the ball, he might have gotten rocked. Well, if you're going to make a play above the X's and the O's, you catch that ball and you hold it.
No, I agree with you.
Get rocked.
100%. Agreed.
If you are going to be Darius Slayton on that one-handed attempt, it's a tough catch. It's a 50-50 ball. Defensive back has his hand in there. If you make that catch, it's a play above the X's and the O's. It's a spectacular grab. If you want to be an upper-level player, you have to make that play, John.
I agree.
The Giants don't make enough of those plays. I've been saying this for years. They don't make enough of those. They make a bunch of routine plays, but when it comes time to get the top shelf plays above the X's and the O's, the Giants don't have enough of guys who do that even semi-consistently. That's been a problem here for a long time. So let me make that very clear with you. I understand exactly what you saw, and I will also throw in the catch that Dotson made. You might have had a little laundry on that, which didn't show up on the field. I still believe that there could have been an offensive pass.
Oh, no way.
That's how I felt.
No way.
But that's not relevant.
I'm not buying that one.
That's not relevant because that's iffy.
Right.
That's iffy. The point is, despite whatever anybody might think about the contact, he made the catch.
Yeah, and Corey Black, who's got an inch on Dotson, can't let him jump over him from behind to make that catch. Okay. Now, look, he's an undrafted rookie. It's his first action of his career. I'm not killing Corey Black.
No.
He's in a very tough spot there.
Very tough spot, especially since he just got back here after they got him from the Jets.
Correct.
All right, so that's the one question. The other item, remember what we said before about Philadelphia looking for the payback? any good team that is involved in a rematch scenario, after they get embarrassed in the first game, you can bet you they are going to uncover every single crumb of evidence as they turn over every stone on their entire property, trying to figure out how did they embarrass us, and we're going to come back and get them when they're in our house. That happens in sports all the time. So the extra motivation factor, the extra, we're going to dig 175% to find every little thing that the Giants did to us, gives them perhaps a little bit more of a wherewithal to find different things, to change up things than the Giants, who had such a great game and ran all over Philadelphia. They're more apt to keep more things the same.
Yeah, because it worked.
Bingo!
Correct.
That's the way sports works. That's the way coaching 101 works. You don't make wholesale changes when you kick the other team's butt. You don't do it.
And
right?
look, yeah, no, 100%. And I think you did see, and I broke it down with the Eagles too. Jalen Hurts against man-to-man defense in this game, Paul. 9 of 10, 126 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That has to do with personnel, though. That, to me, is not a Shane Bowen issue. That's we're just running out of guys in the secondary issue, which they did.
There's no question that was part of it.
They ran out of guys.
And let's also show some respect to Vic Fangio.
Yeah, he's
who, by
great.
the way, has a great reputation. He is one of the upper echelon defensive coordinators of the last 20 years. So let's also give him some respect. Not only did they have the organization's extra motivation to change things, but they also had a guy who is ranked very high in this league for being one of those fellas who can do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I'm going to go to line 2, Johnny Mac. Let's go to Eli, because he's all the way in Southeast Asia. I want to make sure he's not paying too much on the phone calls here. Eli, where you at, buddy?
Wow.
Right now I'm in Thailand.
Holy smokes.
Are you in Bangkok, or are you like by the beaches, Eli? Where are you?
Outside of Bangkok. Yeah.
Very nice. What do you got for us today, man? Thanks for calling in.
So yeah, I've been listening for at least 10 years, but daily. But this is the first time I ever called.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to say something first about the Denver game. Just one short thing. In the drive that Dart threw the interception, like from when it started, I don't understand. Just a play that came up right like live when it was doing. Just have play action. Roll out. You have a running quarterback. He doesn't have to throw the ball. He could get sacked. He would get a first down, if not a touchdown, in the game. Specifically about that game, like live when it happened, it just drove me crazy.
I got you, Eli. What's your comment on this week's game?
Okay, so it's regarding the tush push. I think it's a little funny, but it makes me feel like the NFL, I know it's probably not true, but they're asking the referees not to call things for, not specifically for the Eagles, but to make that play look bad. That way in the offseason they could get rid of it. I know that it's funny, but like, the guards jumping early, this play this week, maybe it's probably not true, but that's what it makes me feel like. Like they want to get rid of it, so let's make it look as bad as possible.
Well, Eli, I will say this.
One last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Finish up.
Yeah, just one last thing I just wanted to say. My frustration right now with the Giants is I'm really, really scared that they're going to, for some reason, blow things up. I feel like the head coach, the GM, maybe they're not the best. They're competent. We didn't have that for a while. And they're building so you can see that something is getting built, even though we won 20 games this decade, maybe.
All right. Thank you, Eli.
And I would like them to keep. So thank you very much for the time, and go Giants.
And Eli, thanks a lot for being such a loyal listener, by the way. We
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it all the way out there in Southeast Asia. That's awesome. I don't think we've had a Thailand call yet. We've had Korea, we've had Japan.
Yeah.
I think we had a Philippines once, too. I don't think
We've had Australia.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a Thailand, though. So
Nope.
it's good
Don't
to have.
think so.
He said listening for 10 years. That's awesome.
Very cool.
What is it, like 1 o'clock in the... Isn't that like a 12-hour time difference? Johnny Mac, look that up. See what the time difference is between here and Bangkok. It's got to be like 10 or 12 or like something like that.
We forgot to ask him, too. How does he watch the games? I guess Sunday Ticket International version? I guess. I don't know.
There are other ways to watch
There
games, Paul.
are.
I'll just leave it at that. But look, and it's funny. We talked about some of the other calls and non-calls, and the one we didn't talk about, and that's my fault, was the egregious one. And we've had a debate back and forth on the show for the better part of a year and a half now about the tush push. And my argument was always the Eagles are better at it than everyone else. I don't want to punish the Eagles for being better at something than everyone else in the National Football League. Your point was always about the health and safety. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not sure I've seen enough injuries to buy that one. Well, I think we've found a way to meet in the middle here a little bit, Paul. Because I think what we've seen this year, and I think this week, was a good example of that. This play has become too difficult to officiate. Mm-hmm. Whether it's calling false starts, and you did see the right guard of the Eagles kind of rock a little bit before that Jalen Hurts tush push. And then we've seen consistently they let that play out so the Eagles can get a second surge, sometimes a third surge, to get the yardage that they need to convert a first down. Which, by the way, if that's how you want to call the play, fine. But if that's how you're going to let them do it, you can't call forward progress when Jalen Hurts is literally still moving forward with the football, reaching it out, and Kayvon Thibodeau makes a great play, rips it away. You cannot call forward progress, which makes the play non-reviewable.
Correct.
And you take a takeaway from the Giants. Now, does that change the result of this game? Eagles ran for 274 yards. Probably not. Mm-hmm. Does it make it a lot more competitive, and then who knows what's going to happen? Sure. You guys, you know me. I hate talking about the officials. I think it's one of the most boring, banal, just like fans complaining things. I can't take it. I hate it. But, man, I was watching the game with Tiki yesterday. There's very few times I get mad and emotional watching a game. I definitely patted my fist on the table in that one and was like, you cannot, under any circumstances, with the way that play is officiated, make that call that way.
I'm not going to get on my soapbox here because I've been doing it for 3 years, and I think I've had enough of doing it. Simply put, this one was obvious where the ball was in perfect view for everybody to see, John.
I saw it live on TV. I didn't have to see a replay.
Correct.
I saw it live.
There are many a times during the tush push where you can't even see the ball.
And that's the other problem with officiating it. How do you spot the damn thing?
Bingo. And to me, you're basically telling the officials on many of these tush-push plays, you have to guess at the spot.
Now, I don't think that was the case on this play.
Not on this one.
But
not on this one.
You might be getting to the point here where the play, if it's impossible to be officiated properly,
then how can you allow it?
Then you can't have it in the game.
Correct. Because basically, as a league, you're putting the officials in an impossible situation.
That's correct.
And you're making it so sketchy for them to try to do their job where they have to rely on almost guessing. And quite frankly, John, the other part of this particular one, which is showing right now on our screen here in the room, in the studio, the other thing that really got my blood boiling on this one is that the whistle comes well after the stated forward progress had stopped. And we're supposed to, as players and coaches, tell everybody everything's live to the whistle.
I know.
So how is it that the whistle doesn't come until after the ball's already out of Hurts's hands? And then they say, forward progress was stopped before the fumble.
I don't have that.
Somebody's got to, because you know what? That math, 2 + 2, does not equal 4. It just does not equate.
I get it. You don't have to convince me on that one. Let's go to Travis in Vermont, and then we'll go to Ralph after that. Travis, what's going on, man?
Hey, first-time caller. You guys actually just hit all the points I wanted to discuss with the tush push and how I didn't understand how the officiating was done. Because if you watch the live TV, both Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady have mentioned that you're only allowed to extend the ball if you're trying to break the plane of the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand how he was allowed to do that. And like Paulie said, the whistle comes 15 seconds after the forward progress.
Well, Travis, hold on. Travis, two things. It wasn't that long after.
No,
and
not 15.
You are allowed to reach the ball out, but the ball is still live when you reach the ball out.
Well, that's what he's referring to.
That's the point, yes.
That's what he's referring to. Because at the goal line, it's dead as soon as you reach it out.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. And I'd also like to mention who played. It does look like Zach Vaughn did a drop hit tackle, which was banned last year. And I'm curious to wonder why there was no flag thrown on that either.
Well, because he's jumping to deflect the pass, and he's in midair, and then he lands on him. It's not like he's chasing him from behind, then grabs him and jumps on him and lands on his legs. There's also, remember, there's the 3 parts of the hip drop tackle. One is the turn. There's no turn there either. So while it looks like one, I'm not sure by the technical definition it is one. We'll have to wait to see if Vaughn gets fined for that during the week. But I'm not surprised that wasn't called live because, frankly, it wasn't even a tackle.
Right.
It was an incomplete pass. So,
right. I understand your point. You thought it looked similar.
Yeah, me too.
I think that's very fair for you to say.
I agree.
I'm with John, though. I don't technically believe that it met all of the qualifications. The shame of it is, penalty or fine, it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, Scottaboo got badly injured on the play. And so would the penalty flag really have made you feel that much better? Honestly.
Not necessarily. It's just with how back and forth officiating has been the last few years, I figured they would try to actually be consistent with some of their calls, and it just doesn't seem like they have been.
I can only say this, my friend.
Thank you for the call.
I've never been on the field with a striped shirt, and actually officiated a game at any level. I've never done it. I know it's a very difficult thing to do, and that's why I try not to, like John says, not to get on the officials. I try my best not to, but where I tend to be a little more vocal, and I do break out my soapbox, as John will tell you, I'm not afraid to do, I get more into the philosophical issues with some of the penalties and how the parameters are that they're called and why aren't plays like the tush push eliminated. I get more into that argument than physically taking an official to task over what he did or did not see on the field of battle, which, by the way, I don't mind saying, in this game today, John, with these guys moving at the speed they're moving, with the size that they've got and the strength that they've got, it's risky business to be an official. It really is. And I don't in any way want to disrespect what they're trying to do. I just think that sometimes the rule book does not make their jobs as clean as it could be.
Again, guys moving really fast. And again, a cursory search here online, because I have not watched a game yet this year where someone's been flagged for a hip drop tackle. How many hip drop tackle penalties do you think have been called in the NFL
this season?
Year? Yeah.
I have not. I
haven't seen one yet.
There might have been one.
There have been 2.
Yeah.
Last year, there was 1.
Yeah.
So it's a play that I think the NFL all but admitted this when they made it illegal. They basically said, we're going to legislate this more via fine after the fact than we are on the field during the game. It's just a hard thing to call in full speed to see what's a hip drop and what's not.
I will say this. Over the years, we've talked a lot about how they protected the quarterbacks, right? And we've talked a lot about how there have been blocks in the back or shots to the knee, blindside hits, targeting. All those kinds of things have always come under scrutiny under the scope of player safety, right? Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So my only take was that if player safety is paramount, then you want to make sure that unilaterally you go through all the different rules that you can in the book and see if you can clean up as many of those as possible to be consistent with player safety being the priority with the rule. So the hip drop tackle, to me, meets that criteria. I have no problem with them taking that play out, whether or not they wanted to do it with the flag or whether or not they wanted to do it with a fine. That made perfect sense to me because that tackle is absolutely dangerous. We've seen the evidence.
100%.
Okay? in terms of what happened with Bourne, again, I don't think it met the criteria. Do I understand that it looks similar? I do. But, for you to bring that one up right now, I'm not going to bellyache over Bourne's play.
Let's go to Ralph in Florida. He's up next on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Hi, Ralph.
Hey, guys. Long time no talk to. Two things. I mean, I was going to talk about one, but really this is the big one with Dexter Lawrence. Everybody's saying that Dexter Lawrence ain't showing up. Guys, he's playing with one hand. I don't care what nobody says. His left elbow is not healthy. You don't see the push. You don't see it. You just don't. He's not strong enough. He can't do it with one arm. When he sat down on the bench when he came out that game, you literally seen him leaning on his right side. Like, that left elbow is killing him, and he's trying to gut it out, and I commend him for that. Like, do I expect Dexter Lawrence to be a better player? Of course, but if he's handicapped, he's handicapped. That left arm is definitely not healthy. You can tell.
Ralph, he's not making excuses. The coach is not making excuses. But when he got injured, when the left elbow was dislocated last year, I remember talking to a medical person, a sports orthopedist, not within the organization. I want to make this very clear. Not within the organization. And he said to me, it could take him at least a year before he's himself again. He may be able to get back out there in 9 months, but it's going to take him at least a year to get that elbow fully back to 100%. So to your comment, I understand there might be some validity to it. I'm not calling you crazy. But I also want to echo that no one in this building, including Dexter, has used that as an excuse.
Oh, of course, and he won't, because he's a warrior. And then the second thing is, as far as like with the officiating, I hate blaming officials for games, but in certain spots, they do change the outlook of the game. Like the fumble, that changes the outlet. That takes the score off of Philly. We get the ball back. We just scored a touchdown. We had a little momentum going on offense. Then the second penalty that I think nobody's talking about was huge, was on Tracy's run that he ran for like 8 yards, and they called the illegal block on Wan'Dale Robinson in the back when the guy literally was falling down on his own, and he still made the tackle. Like, that turned the whole play around. The next play
Ralph, there was also a play later in the game where Jackson Dart, everyone pretty much thought he fumbled the ball, and they called it an incomplete pass, which helped the Giants.
Yeah, that's another way. John, bring that up. I'm glad you brought that up. But did you see the player launch himself and hit Jackson Dart in the helmet? Helmet-to-helmet hit? Did you see that on that play?
Ralph, to be frank with you, to be frank with you, Ralph, I don't want to go there and catalog every questionable call because both teams were victimized. In my opinion, both teams were victimized by a number of, let's just say, doubtful situations involving penalty flags, either called or not called. I think both teams were victimized, in my humble opinion, watching it from the box, even watching the film. But having said that, the Philadelphia Eagles did beat the Giants yesterday on the field with their players. So please, I don't want to go through the itemized list of doubtful or questionable penalties. That's just not worth it.
No, I agree. I'm with you. All right, Wilson, you're up next, buddy.
Oh, geez. We really got to do this. Wilson, I'm telling you now, be nice or you're going to be gone in 10 seconds.
Well, Paulie, listen, with all due respect, you know I love you, right? If you want to just hear what you want to hear, why do you have a show?
No, guys, stop. Wilson, just make Wilson. Do me a favor. Wilson, just make.
I love you.
No, well, guys, I don't want you guys to argue. Wilson, just make your point about the game, okay? We don't need to go back and forth on that. Just make your point about the game.
I just want to say more important things in life. You know, hopefully this kid is good. It was horrendous what happened to him. It was horrendous, and I wish him the best. I haven't called in a while, so I know you said something that you know, you have something going on before. I hope everything's okay with you.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm all good.
Stuff, but I love you. You know, everything is in good fun.
Of course, that, right? Yeah, of course, Wilson. We know that. Don't worry about it, man. We're all good.
Okay, all right. So, Danny, listen, I don't want to talk about the retro anymore because everything is there for people to see. It is what it is. All I'm going to say is this, man. It's like a black cloud on top of this team. They have killed my fandom. and a lot of fans feel the same way. Maybe it's nobody's fault, Johnny. Maybe I'm not going to blame anybody anymore because it's pointless. I think, Johnny, first of all, for people to say that you can't get rid of somebody because a rookie quarterback likes them, it's actually almost insulting. I mean, this kid is going to be a good quarterback no matter who coaches him. But I think it's just time, Johnny, to me, and I talk to a lot of people, everybody needs a fresh start, man, including the head coach. You look at him on the podium, he looks like he's done. He looks like he's defeated. I feel bad for the guy, actually. Sometimes, Johnny, like you told me a long time ago, Daniel is 7-1, looks like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you said, you know what, sometimes people need a fresh start. I think all of us need a fresh start. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Mr. Meyer has a lot more important things to worry about than what Crazy Wilson from Roxbury thinks. But, Johnny, when I watch the game, and I don't care whether they win or lose, I don't get upset when they give up a 2nd and 31. The guy runs for a first down, and it doesn't bother me anymore. I think, Johnny, don't comment on it. I don't want you guys to comment. This is for all Giants fans that are listening right now. We just need a fresh start, man. We can't go through this anymore. And I'm going to leave it at that, Johnny. But, okay. Again, hopefully this kid has a speedy recovery, and I'm glad that you're doing good. Paulie, and don't get upset, Paulie. I love you, but, I mean, if you don't let me say what I say, Paulie, I never cross the line. I never say, say crazy stuff like, say bad words or nothing like that. I keep it real with you because we're having a conversation, Paulie. Sometimes you don't like what I say, but it is what I feel, what I see on the TV, Paulie.
I don't mind, Wilson, when you offer your opinions. I only ask two things. That you don't go like haywire off the rails when you get emotional about it. And then the second thing I ask you is that you base it all on fact. Those are the only things I ask you for. That's all I ask you for. And sometimes you don't do that.
Okay, well, like I said, Paulie, I'm sorry if I do
We're
that.
good.
Everything is in good fun.
We'll talk to you again next time. It's okay.
All right, but
we're good today.
Paulie, this is my thing, what I think, only what I think.
Wilson,
what I think.
totally
I don't
fair.
want you to comment.
No, thank you very much, Wilson.
Be well.
Good stuff, man. No, look, Wilson, and what you said today is absolutely fair. If that's your opinion, team has not won a lot of games in the last 3 years. I get it. I get where you're coming from. I understand your opinion. All right, let's wrap things up. Who's our final call to the show here, Johnny Mac? We got Rich in Florida. Rich, what's going on?
Hey, great job, guys, you and Godfather. And, I echo Wilson's frustration. I go back probably farther than he does, 1961. So you guys did a excellent, honest analysis. I couldn't agree with Paul more than ever. We have our conference call. Actually, we had our reunion this weekend here. But players not playing above the X's and O's. I scream at the TV for 10 years saying the same darn things. They just don't do it. Now, I think, in a positive sense, I think we have at least 3 people that can do that right now. Unfortunately, 2 of them are injured, Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, and Neighbors. But you remember in the old days when the defense had a 3-point lead and the other team had 3 minutes to go, somebody was making a play.
Why do you think Carl Banks' stomach turns right now?
And it comes down to personnel, though, Paul. It's personnel decisions. Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, look, Rich, I'll give you a twofold answer here. Number one, it does have to come with the roster. You have to put together a more talented roster than the Giants have had in recent years. We happen to believe, from being here every day, that this was a more talented roster, and that I think it's fair to say it has not performed up to its lofty standards or up to its expectations. I think it's fair to say it's been an underachieving roster to this point.
I would say specifically on the defensive side of the
ball. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I totally agree with
100%.
that. Okay, so the second part to what you're talking about, the responsibility of making those plays, has to come within the player himself.
Absolutely.
He's got to say, you know what? That's my ball, and I'm getting it, and nobody else is. Or I'm making that tackle. I'm bringing you down.
Or this guy's not tackling me.
Yes. Right. And Scatterboo is one of those guys who does that.
Exactly. And so, so the answer is we need more of those guys. It's pretty simple, and that's not analytics. a lot of that comes from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So we need more Scatterboos. I pray that he is okay. That's, I had 2 nurses with me and a doctor in my conference call. That is a very serious injury because they have to reattach the ligaments apparently. And so pray that he gets A-okay because we need that kid. Jackson Dart, the best thing that's come out of this season, we got a quarterback. And he plays above the X's and O's. And Neighbors will be back. But we need more of them, especially, like John said, and I totally agree, on defense. So we're never giving up, just like Jackson said, never giving up. But the fans are just the old guys like me are just frustrated to the nth degree.
And look, Rich, you should be. I appreciate the call. And
all right, keep up the good work, guys. Love you guys.
Thanks, Rich.
Hope you had a good reunion this weekend. Hope you had a good time. The time you weren't watching that game for 3 hours yesterday, at least.
Oh my! No, I understand.
Let me just say this about Dart, and I kind of made this. I actually used a Paul Dottino food metaphor on the post-game
Did you
show
really?
yesterday. I did, yes. As I'm going through it, I'm like, oh man, I sound just like the.
Can I get a right
now.
tweet for that, please?
And I tried to stop myself. So the way I talked about Dart, because we had a couple calls late in the post-game show about him yesterday. He's so good at these loose plays and scrambling and running. But you cannot make that the basis of how you succeed at quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whipped cream. That's the topping. Pick your topping. You want M&Ms? You want some sprinkles? Maybe you want some chocolate sauce? Whatever you're thinking about. That's the stuff you put on the ice cream. All right?
Very good, John.
But what makes Patrick Mahomes great is what he does when he doesn't have to use those things. His ability to quickly see things, always get the ball in the right spot, see the defense, get the ball out quick, be super accurate with the ball. And look, Dart does some of those things well. He's very accurate, in my opinion. But in terms of seeing it, keeping his eyes up, getting through all his progressions, getting the ball out on time and quickly, that's what great quarterbacks do. And look, we've seen quarterbacks succeed for short periods of time not doing those things. How did Josh Allen survive his first 2 years in the pros? By doing this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How did Lamar Jackson survive his first couple years in the pros before he learned how to play quarterback the real way?
That's right.
By doing this sort of stuff. And that's what we talk around draft time, Paul, about. It's tough now to draft a pure pocket passer because it takes a while for a pure pocket passer to become a good NFL quarterback.
I know.
To play quarterback in the NFL and the mental part of it is so much harder than what you're being asked to do in college. Look how long it took for Sam Darnold to develop. Look how long it took for Baker Mayfield to develop. Look how long it took for Geno Smith to develop. Throw Daniel Jones into that pot right now. Go down the list. The Rams paid the Lions to take Jared Goff.
Yeah, they did.
They paid them to take Jared Goff in that Stafford trade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So.
It worked out for both teams, though.
I think both teams are doing just fine. Totally agree. I'm sure the Lions are like one of those picks back, but yes, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure the Rams are like one of those picks back, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that the stuff that Dart's not good at yet and that he needs to improve at if he wants to be your quarterback for a long time, 98% of rookie quarterbacks aren't good at that stuff either.
Right.
That's the stuff that not everyone's Joe Burrow. All right? Not everyone is C.J. Stroud in his first year. All right? Now
who, by the way, has regressed.
Now that is backslid. Another reason. Who didn't think C.J. Stroud was the next great quarterback after his rookie year? Everyone did. And that's, including the playoffs, 19 games worth of football from him? So that's why when everyone says, we know we have our quarterback. Guys, it's been 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's relax. Teams haven't adjusted to him yet. Okay? Let's see how this goes. There are critical things that you have to be good at as a quarterback in the National Football League that he still needs to get better at. But his natural instincts, his natural playmaking ability, his athleticism, his attitude, his intangibles, his work ethic, his personality, all those things check boxes that are important to have long-term success and even high-level success in the National Football League. But the puzzle's not complete yet. There are pieces still missing that have to be put together. Mm-hmm. The ice cream still has to be churned. All he right now has, he has the milk, he's got the cream, he's got
Keep
a
going,
freezer.
John, I love it.
But he hasn't put it all together yet. And we don't know what that ice cream flavor is going to be either once it all gets put together. Is he going to look more like, everyone makes the Josh Allen comparison, and that's because Daboll and Allen, it's more Mahomes-ish to me than Allen-ish. The way he moves in the pocket, that little touch pass to Theo Johnson, that little lobby. You're telling me you didn't have a little like Mahomes flashback with that? Now, I'm telling you, he's nowhere near the player Patrick Mahomes is.
No.
I'm just talking about stylistically.
Understood.
He's more stylistically like a Mahomes than he is now. But like I said, we don't know what this finished product is going to be like, Paul. Maybe he's going to be a Jordan Love type of quarterback where it's a lot of big plays, but maybe it's a little uneven in between. And we're not. When's the last time you saw Jackson Dart check the ball down to an open player? He doesn't check the ball down.
He prefers not to do it.
All Patrick Mahomes does is check the ball down. That's all he does is check the ball down.
And actually, some people are criticizing him for doing it.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. No two players are exactly the same.
Almighty.
We know some of the exciting and fun playmaking stuff that Dart can do. We know some of the tools out of there for Dart that are all really intriguing. And he has every piece that you want for him to become a good quarterback down the road. But we don't know, what you do on a 1st and 10 on a drop back and you complete a 4-yard pass. That can sometimes be super important for a quarterback. And we haven't seen, I think, that play-to-play consistency in terms of that yet with Dart. So I'm very excited to see that come together throughout the year, see that come together over the next couple years. It might not even be there next year, folks. This stuff takes time for quarterbacks in the National Football League. So I'm curious to see how he develops. You love the tools. You love the flashes that he's shown, the playmaking ability. But he has all the toppings ready. They're ready to go. The ice cream just hasn't been made yet.
And the idea is that as much experience as he gets this year, however many games, hopefully he'll play all the way through to the rest of the season, and he's healthy enough to do so. The idea is that each one of these games adds some more sprinkles to the top of that ice cream. That's what this is about.
I mean, yeah, I would say, if you want to use the analogy, I would say every time he plays a game, the mixture of the cream, the sugar, and the milk, it gets a little colder.
Yeah,
and the ingredients are slowly turning into ice cream.
Right
now he's still in he's not even in milkshake status yet. It's not even like soft Carvel ice cream yet. We're looking at it's still the ingredients are all separate. But he's gathered all the toppings. Those he has in abundance.
Yeah.
But he still has to make the ice cream.
I know we're a tad long, but Dan Salamone has been on the Brian Daboll presser.
Oh, yeah, that just started 5 minutes ago?
Actually, it started about 15, 20 minutes ago. I believe they're over now already. He said, quote, all went well with Cam Scadaboo's surgery. According to the quote here from Coach Brian Daboll, he's recovering. Obviously, he'll be missed on the road to recovery. Daboll also relayed his story to the media that he had been chatting with Scadaboo. He even got a text from Scat at 4:08 this morning. And his response was, quote, that's Scat.
Well, in fairness, after you have a surgery like that, it's probably pretty tough to sleep, I would imagine.
Yeah, I don't sleep anyway, so I can definitely understand that. So those are just a couple of quick words since we did go a little long. And I actually thought you did that on purpose because you wanted to get some of the information from Coach.
I did not. I just wanted to give my food analogy.
Well, I'm glad you did because you made me happy.
It wasn't Italian food, though.
It's all right.
You like ice cream.
Sure. And I like sprinkles.
We don't have an official ice cream at the Giants, do we? I didn't get any trouble for listening.
No, we do not.
I don't believe we do.
No, we do not.
I think I'm okay.
Anybody out there, if you'd like to be the official ice cream of the Giants, please, by all means, Big Blue Kickoff Live could always use another sponsor.
And we'll be back tomorrow. Is Lance and somebody, I'll have to look that up. Lance is on with somebody tomorrow.
Okay.
They'll take your calls here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Well, another full hour of calls if Lance ever decides to take them.
Oh, my.
We'll see how long his open is tomorrow. Hopefully it goes less than 40 minutes.
Oh,
Lance, I love you. So thanks for being with us. It's all brought to you by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the Giants, from the Hackensack Pretty Health Podcast Studio. Keep getting better. I am John Schmeelk. He is Paul Dottino. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30, everybody.